athleticism transpire over a 6-week period or 8-week period. You know, middle school schedules are shorter seasons than high school is amazing to me. It's amazing to me. And I just, and you know, parents appreciate that. And, you know, I grew up here locally. I ran track, and my track coach, and that's the reason I am who I am today, is because of him, because he made me work hard, and there was no excuses and no, I can't.
Yeah, so the thing is, what that translates with your career now is just that experience as an athlete having to go past a mental breaking point where you're thinking, I don't want to do this. This is too hard.
Right.
Well, you got calls coming in for the coroner's office. You got kids that aren't being fed that you got to call to for an arrest, and that helps you fight through that mental toughness to get through that. Hey, I'm doing a good job. I'm going to persevere, and the next day is going to be better, and these people that I'm dealing with are going to be better for it. So, you know, sports and coaching and it all translates to, you know, hard things that happen in life, and I'm just glad you're able to do it. I'm glad we got connected, and I'm just really blessed because really, along with other coaches, you, for one, has really made me think that, hey, this is a worthwhile thing going. You know, like sometimes I'm thinking, you know, I get paid for coaching. And I'm like thinking, well, this isn't enough. You know, you're thinking to your head, oh, I'm doing so much. At the end of the season, you're like, man, I'm glad I did that. You know, every season it happens that way. And I think we're horrible. And then we do so well at the end of the year. And I'm like, man, I'm glad I did that. And then take a couple breaks, take a couple weeks and months off. You're thinking, man, you know, this is okay. This is cool. Oh, I'm ready to go back again. And it's March, and I'm ready to do it again. And it's awesome, man. And so, and I really.
And you coming into the middle school, and then and even coming into the high school level with me, you know, people can say, well, you're calling your son. And I'm like, yeah. And when I came into middle school, Brennan was getting on me about, Dad, you're not hard enough on me, or you don't. And well, maybe I'm not. And I watch other kids, and I make sure, and this is just my philosophy, is you will not be able to tell that Brennan is my son if you were a stranger walking in not knowing who we are.
Oh yeah.
Because I give 100% to each kid, not just, you know, I don't give more to Brennan because he's my son, but I want to, you know, it's about lives. It's about, you know, and you're right, the paycheck.
Yeah.
Teachers aren't rich. You know, anybody that's in the NBA and Major League Baseball, who do they need? They need teachers, and they probably need the police sometimes if something has happened.
Yeah.
And without those two, I think, definitely without teachers, you're not going to be in the NBA. You're not going to be in Major League Baseball. You're not going to be in the NFL. So we are so underpaid, but we don't do it for the money. Because way back when, we could have went to law school or we could have went to medical school, and we didn't do that. So we don't do it for the money. We do it because God put it in our heart to do it, I think. And it's about, I think you're saving kids' lives. You are. You're saving kids' lives.
And sometimes you don't realize that. Like, I'll have, like, kids I've had in the past, which will just gave me heck for 2 or 3 years. And then I'll see them in 10 years with a wife and a kid, and they come up to you and shake your hand and say, man, I really miss you. I really appreciate what you did for me. I know I was a pain in the neck, but, man, you really did something for me. And in coaching, too. I'll see kids 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road, you know, it's just the relationships you build in your career and coaching and what you do and what I do. It's just, you know, it's just you get that feedback after the fact sometimes. If you don't get immediate feedback, but you get it maybe 5 years down the road and you're thinking, man, what's all this for? And you get it and it makes you feel so good inside. You know, it's like, it's amazing. And I mean, that's one thing I always take for granted. I'm a complainer. My wife gets most of the complaining. If I complain about anything, she hears all my complaints. But the thing is, and you think about it and you know, in the moment of feeling good about everything, you're thinking, man, I'm really blessed with all the stuff I have, you know, with all the situations and relationships I've had over the years. I've just dealt with so many good kids over the years, not just coaching, but in the classroom and adults that I've ran into through coaching and teaching. It's just, it just makes your life enriched. And the people that are rich may have never been able to do half the stuff that you and I have, with a lot less financial, benefit. It's just, I don't know. But I really appreciate working with you, and it's awesome to know that, policemen pretty much kind of go through the same hardships as teachers, but a little bit more dangerous, I'd have to say. A lot more dangerous, but I mean, I don't know. It's just awesome that, that's what the taxpayers pay for, I guess. I don't know.
Taxpayers and, parents depend on the child, to get an education, to be around in a good school, in a good environment, like a good education system or whatever. Because, my gosh, the teachers spend more time with the kids than the parents do, if you really think about it.
Yeah, you're really right, and that's a big thing. That, I mean, some kids, like I've had kids in the past. We'd had, like, back when the state allowed half days and the teachers would have these meetings and all that, and the state kind of stopped those half days and stuff like that. Well, there's this one kid that every time we had a half day, he was from a real poor home. Every time we had a half day, he would really act up, cuss, create a big fuss, and almost get kicked out of school. And I figured it out after about 3 or 4 months. I took him aside and I said, I said, what's going on when the days we have half days? I'm like thinking, what's going on? He goes, you know what? I don't get lunch when we have a half day. I don't get fed on a school day.
Wow.
When he didn't get fed, he got one meal a day, man. That broke me down. Chris, I'm telling you what, I broke down. After he walked off, I'm like going, you don't realize that. And I was a young teacher at the time. I'm like thinking, man, you got to think a little bit before. I mean, and I didn't ever really punish the kid. If he's cussing, screaming, you got to send him out of the room. But what I'm saying is you just got to think, sometimes you got to take him out of that situation, talk to him, find out what that is. People on the outside said, well, they didn't discipline that guy enough, or the cop should have arrested that guy right on the spot. There's other things that maybe were more effective at that time to make a big difference. If you figure out what's going on and give the kid information, hey, there's a church that's giving free meals over there on that one street. You might be able to save somebody's, life by doing that. And you the same, like, take them out of the situation that maybe an hour later you may have had to go there for a coroner situation instead of a cop fixing a situation that could have turned into a murder, or a death, or a death by abuse, or, maybe even an OD.
My younger days, I was single, and on the police department, and I had a roommate, and me and him, he was on the police department. Me and him, we kept running across this teenage. He was probably 9 or 10 years old. He kept stealing. He'd steal around Easter time or Christmas time or a certain birthday of his sister's, and we caught him. Kept catching him. What's going on? He goes, well, I don't get an Easter basket, or I don't get Christmas gifts, and nobody gives my sister anything for her birthday, and he was stealing things to compensate for that. And so every Easter me and my roommate, we flip flop. Easter, okay, you're gonna get Jalen something, yeah, and then Christmas, and we took care of the kid. And I'll be darned, one day he got a little older. We've been in his life 3 or 4 years, and he got a little older and stole a moped. Really, the only time that he stole something that wasn't a necessity. And he was hauling butt down an alley and came out onto a road and got hit by a car, and he got killed.
Oh, wow.
So, it's tough, but, you go back to, you tried to really help out, and this one just didn't work out. And you have those sometimes, but more times than not, man, all these kids, all they want is structure. They want it, but they, like you said, this kid was getting into trouble because he wanted structure. He wanted lunch.
Yeah.
And
it's
he
so
just
sad.
didn't know the right. So kids want structure. They want rules. They want, because they want to feel loved, and it's tough. It's tough, man.
Yeah. We're just lucky we get to, if we touch one life out of 10, 1 out of 15.
Yep.
I mean, you're thinking, man, that's not a good percentage. But, man, you know what? To them, it feels like gold, really, in the lottery. I mean, to that one person you touched, and you're just hoping somebody down the road touched that other one you might have missed or might have not saw something someone else saw. And, just hoping all the people around them, preachers, teachers, bankers, clerks of the store, cops, whatever, I mean, can, just make one little difference in a person's life, and just, it's just awesome. And so that's what makes the world worth living in. I mean, there's a lot of bad, but, if you think about it and you think how blessed we are, we're not in those situations that you see when you go on calls. And I don't see the kid that's worn the hoodie sweatshirt all year long, same hoodie sweatshirt all year. Yeah. And I just figured out what that was, Chris, before we go. I just a couple years ago, I'm so naive or so clueless. I was like thinking, why are all these kids wearing the same hoodie sweatshirt pretty much all year long? They don't have a clean shirt or have a new shirt to wear. So they may wear the same shirt under that sweatshirt all year long. The pants, you don't really notice the pants and the shoes, the same dirty hoodie sweatshirt all year long. And I'm like thinking, and I felt bad about doing this a couple years ago. I'm like, why are you guys, we're hot. Can you open the window or open the door or turn up the air conditioning? And you're like thinking, why are they wearing a sweatshirt? And it's like 80 in here. And you're like thinking, you know what? I never asked again after finding out why they do it. I never will ask again. It about broke my heart. I told my wife, and she couldn't handle it. I'm like, I'm telling you, that's what goes on. Yeah. I mean, it's sad, but it just breaks your heart, Yeah. But hey, man, Chris, I thank you for calling me, man. It's pretty just pretty chill conversation. I appreciate it. That's kind of what I want with this podcast, just talking to my friends about what they do and what, relationships with how they, with their careers and their life. And I didn't want it structured like some, goofy interviewer asking questions that nobody cares about after a halftime or a post-game report. So I just this is something that's fulfilling me that I miss from what I did right after college. I used to do the radio, and I kind of wanted to get back on it on the side. And I really appreciate all my friends and people that I have good relationships with, calling and help support me. So it's just a little hobby that's making my life even better than what it is. So I really appreciate it, Chris, for calling me, man. I'm sure I'm going to be talking to you soon enough and probably seeing you at the high school track here in a week or so or less, hopefully. Definitely. So, but I'll be talking to you, man. So keep giving me Brennan stats, and I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right.
I'll talk to you later.
Get a hold of me.
Oh, I sure will, buddy. Bye.
All right.
Boy, that was awesome. I mean, I hope you enjoy it. I mean, maybe it's just for me, but, I mean, it just, just kind of see how other people think and, how most people in the world have pretty good intentions. It's just they get into bad situations and, it's just nice to take another person's point of view on what makes the world good. I mean, there's a lot of bad, but it's nice to hear somebody with a pretty horrible job that you think is horrible on the outside. Thinking, man, who wants to see a dead body? Who wants to see a shotgun blasted cranium on the wall? And I mean, he's told me all kinds of stories. But we're seeing a poor kid that probably been covered in feces and maybe an infant that hasn't been taken care of for 3 or 4 days. You just wonder how people survive. And those cops see that first thing. We see them a little, as a teacher, you see them a little cleaned up and you see them, a little bit more taken care of, but there's an underbelly of the world that you don't see in cops and police officers and coroners and people like that, EMTs and first responder people. They see stuff that we never see. And they talk about the military, the movie A Few Good Men. They want us on that line. They need us on that line. They take care of stuff. Those kind of people, police officers and coroners and medical professionals, they see stuff that most of us don't want to see. And it's awesome that there's great people out there like Chris and others, and my wife that's a nurse, and, my sister who's a teacher. They deal with a lot of stuff. And then especially the people that see it first, they, God willing, they fix situations and help people out before really, really bad things happen. But it's amazing what those people do for us. So it's just awesome. I really appreciate you guys listening. And keep listening, keep telling people about the show. It's kind of more of like a local flavor more than it is national. But, like if you're listening from out of state or even